All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and deal with this card. I wanted to wait until there was a decision, because I thought this was about to be one of those cards where you got all finishes. So I had to hold off until they stopped getting finishes and leave it up to this guy to kill the momentum. What was that guy's name? We'll get to it. But the first stoppage was, I almost called her Leon Edwards. Wow, I was about to say Leon Edwards. Jocelyn Edwards over Chelsea Chandler. Now, I took Jocelyn Edwards. And in the cage, Chelsea Chandler looked weak. She looked weak and flabby. I think at 135, she's just too weak. And at 145 or whatever weight she fought at, she just had that big fat girl strength. I think overall she's a weak, she has poor physical strength, Chelsea Chandler. And she actually looked smaller than Jocelyn Edwards once they were in the cage. Once they were inside the cage, Jocelyn Edwards looked bigger than Chelsea Chandler, which is kind of crazy. If you follow Jocelyn Edwards, you'll see that she's sort of like, or not sort of, she's very much in athletic condition. You know, she's not in Chelsea Chandler like condition. Like, this was shortly before the fight. This was posted April 17th. So that was what, a week ago? And Chelsea Chandler was nowhere near even this fit. And like I said, once they got inside the cage, she looked a lot bigger than Chelsea Chandler. So that was kind of crazy. You know, and she runs long distances, this Jocelyn Edwards. She incorporates this track running. She trains with Shevchenko. Now you got to remember, there are myths, not myths, there's this like rumors floating around gyms that says Shevchenko is difficult to work with. Shevchenko is difficult to work with. She's difficult to work out with, to train with. And it seems like Shevchenko or Jocelyn Edwards is one of Shevchenko's permanent training partners. And I just think you got to be in pretty good shape to train with this camp, this particular team. The, Shevchenko, Pavel team. Probably enhanced her self-discipline. Apparently, she goes out shooting to the shooting range with Valentina Shevchenko. Obviously, you're going to hang out with Shevchenko. You're going to do some of the stuff that she does. Because some of the things that Shevchenko does actually makes you a better fighter. And if you ask me, Jocelyn Edwards looks like she's in her prime. And it looks like it's the best striking she's had. She still throws those awkward hooks. She threw some in this fight. And some of you may have seen the knockout should have come a little earlier than it actually did. Because Jocelyn was throwing consecutive left hooks when the right hand was there the whole time. And as soon as Jocelyn finally threw the right hand, she buckled. Well, the fight was pretty much over at that point. Caught Chandler. Chandler's legs buckled. And that was the end of the fight. So, she still throws those awkward hooks, Jocelyn Edwards. And they're awkward, because she'll lead with them and they're like, I don't know. Like I said, if she would have just straightened out a good right hand from the start, she would have clocked Chandler. Chandler was wide open early in that exchange that they had right before the knockdown. But aside from that, it looks like overall, Jocelyn is an overall better striker than she was before. Before she started working with Shevchenko. So first round stoppage for Jocelyn Edwards. Now, there was a comment that I wanted to deal with. Let's see if we could go to it. I think it was on this post right here. If you go to YouTube and you do a little scrolling, see if I can find it here. It was sort of like the comment of the night, where somebody pointed out the obvious, and that is that here recently, WMMA is cooking, or at least this year. So far in 2025, WMMA is actually cooking. Okay, I'm a little bit paraphrasing them, and I might not even find the comment now that I lost it. Here it is right here. It said, WMMA this year has been cooking so far, to be honest. Now, I pointed this out. I was one of the first, if not the first, person to point this out. And it was sort of at a low point where people wasn't really talking about it. I'm like, look, these chicks are getting finishes like consecutively. It's probably somebody else who pointed it out, but here recently, and I remember not long ago, I was critical. I'm like, man, these girls need to step it up. They coming in here with this lack of aggression, this lack of effort. Y'all ruining everything. Y'all supposed to go overboard. You're supposed to, put in more effort than the guys. And it looks like they are. Looks like that's what they're doing. And we're getting good results. Another thing I noticed, it's probably a good thing for them to go first. For women to open the card. For whatever reason, they seem to have good luck when they open the card. There was another comment left by someone who said that actually in 2025 so far, women have a higher stoppage ratio than the men. Now, I haven't done the math on that, but if that's true, then yeah, they're definitely cooking right now. WMMA, at least in the UFC, they're getting the job done. So yeah, not much to say about that. On to the next fight. Jacqueline Amorim stops Poliana Viana. Submits Poliana Viana. Poliana Viana, even though she has submissions on her record, she still looked lost on the ground against ground fighters. And she had no takedown defense at all in this fight. Before I even deal with that, what was that before the fight even started where Jacqueline Amorim high-fived a member from Poliana Viana's camp? Some guy who was up on the cage, like right above Poliana Viana, reached out and gave Jacqueline Amorim a high five before the Bruce Buffer announcement. That was weird. And if I was Poliana, I'd kick him out my camp. Don't be high-fiving my opponents. What she high-fived that dude for? I don't want to hear nothing about sportsmanship or nothing like that. That ain't the time to be high-fiving. You in your zone. You're supposed to be getting in your zone. You're about to fight. Don't high-five me. Don't high-five. If you're going to high-five anybody, make it your opponent. Don't high-five. You know what I'm saying? Because the fight is more personal with the opponents. You want to show some sportsmanship. You're actually about to put each other's life in each other's hands. Don't be high-fiving nobody in my camp. I would have turned around like, what, do you know her? What you high-fiving her for? You know what I'm saying? You've been giving her secrets. What is that all about? But anyways, Poliana Viana, as soon as the fight started in both rounds, it ended in round 2. As soon as they started, Amorim immediately went for takedowns and got it. No resistance from Poliana. What was that? Before the fight, didn't y'all notice Merab Dvalishvili in Poliana Viana's corner? When I saw that, I'm like, uh-oh, maybe I shouldn't have took Jacqueline Amorim in this fight. You know, I'm like, uh-oh, that's a problem for Amorim possibly. The fight starts, you don't see no improvement. You don't see no element of Dvalishvili in Poliana. Took Poliana down with no resistance. Poliana didn't put up a fight at all. She just fell backwards. Remind me of who is it? Carla Esparza versus, what's her name? That tall girl. I don't know why I'm not remembering her name. The long, lanky girl. It's ridiculous. Takedown defense. You just tumble backwards. There was no sprawling, no posture. She didn't try to anchor her body or use her leverage, body leverage. Nothing. Just sort of reached down and accepted the takedown. This is crazy. In both rounds. Once the fight was on the ground, Poliana didn't even try to get up, it looked like. A couple moments, it looked like she could have got up. She didn't get up. Now, no credit against Poliana. Another thing I noticed, at least it looked like to me, Jacqueline Amorim got crazy top control. And I think it's in part the way she's built. Like, she got crazy top control. I think any other fighter, Poliana would have tossed him off of her. She would have got him off of her. At least when she turned, I think it was in the first round, late in the first round, she almost escaped. Poliana almost escaped. She was on bottom, but she almost escaped. I think she would have escaped had it been anybody else. But Jacqueline Amorim, when she's on top of you, she's built in a way where she can put all the weight of her torso on you. She makes you carry her entire body weight, and she plants it on her opponent's well. Maintains top, and she's good with her legs. At gripping with her legs, grabbing with her legs, holding with her legs, controlling you, controlling herself with her legs, and all that kind of stuff. So she looks like a problem. I don't even know what division this is. If this is 115, I don't care what division it is. She's a problem. Now, the problem is, what's going to happen when she's with a fighter who's also a ground fighter? Who's also a ground fighter, but who might have some type of advantage, might be a lot stronger than her. You know, that's all it takes. And when you're one-dimensional, you can't fall back on your striking. She hasn't really proven to be a formidable striker. Another thing I noticed in that fight is this moment right here. The fight starts. Morum immediately gets her down, and eventually they're like this. They spent a few seconds in this 6'9" sort of scissor type of position, but eventually Amorum got the full mount. And that's when you notice that her lack of power stopped her from getting a stoppage, prevented her from getting a stoppage. She just with punches, she don't really have that kind of power for ground and pound. She really don't. And I think she should stop trying. Just stick to submissions. Because the punches are not effective. They're not even semi-effective. They're not even sharp hooks or nothing like that. They're just very, very weak. Like, the ref did not come close to stopping this fight. He never thought about stopping this fight, even though she was this high up on her in full mount. That ground and pound was not going to happen. It was so clear. It was so obvious that would never happen. No matter how long she stayed on top of Poliana, she would have never earned a ground and pound. Her strikes are that weak. So stick to submissions. Better work an arm bar. Now, speaking of arm bars, Jacqueline Amorum got real effective arm bars for females. You know how females, they're hard to put in an arm bar, but not for Jacqueline Amorum because her body is sort of like Mackenzie Dern's, where she could put that arm bar in there properly. And remember too, she trains at the respected American top team. So don't be surprised if eventually she makes her way up through the rankings and earns herself a title shot. Look at Verna. Verna is a nightmare for Dana, for UFC, and everybody right now. They don't want Verna to replace Wei Lee. They definitely don't want that. You know, as good as Verna is, she has the smallest following. Nothing is going to change that. And you're just looking at it from a business perspective, that's a step down. You know, and it is not about looks. Wei Lee is not really followed, and people don't tune in for Wei Lee's looks. That's not really what she's appreciated for. You know, but Verna don't even have the qualities that Wei Lee has, despite the fact that neither of them are really respected for their looks. So we'll see what happens. If you ask me, that should be a difficult fight for Wei Lee. Because on the ground, Verna is very effective. What weight class is this? And I'm dead serious. Do I have to look it up? What weight class is this? What weight class did we just watch this fight? Did it go down in? Let's see. Is it on? Maybe they have it up here. Yeah. Oh, that's bantamweight, strawweight. That was 115. Yeah, that's Wei Lee's weight class. So if Verna made it up there, why wouldn't Jacqueline Amorum be able to? So it's possible that these, sort of one-dimensional fighters get that belt again. It's possible. We'll see. Right now, Wei Lee is the most well-rounded champion and probably fighter that we've seen. We'll see if that's enough to hold up against, Verna's ground game and Jacqueline Amorum's ground game. They both seem to be better at getting their opponents down, so obviously that's a problem. Wei Lee's not going to be able to avoid the ground against either one of them. The problem is can they deal with Weili's unusual strength? That'll be the game changer. Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, let's get back to this card. It feels good to produce content while it's underway. But I had to wait until the momentum died down, and probably won't be back after the card. I don't think nothing crazy is gonna happen, especially not with Ian Gary as the main event. So I will land my plane there.